Good.
breeze. No hard questions. No hard questions. Okay, let's see if we're able to. But no, I'm glad you're doing really good. I see you travel all the time, so I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
We need to get Matt Roblez on.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm glad too. And I'll say this right now for those like listening. I do think that Matt Roblez is one of the most interesting people out there. Just he you know, kind of like the Dosakis guy, like you know, the most interesting man in the world. You know, I kind of molded it into is Matt Roblez the most interesting guy alive? There we go. Drew Huntley, welcome in.
It's funny. I've been told that before, man. I actually a few years ago, a guy actually made a meme of that and put my face in there.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Just got to do some forbidden.
No, I'm just living life and taking as much opportunity as I can.
Heck yeah, that's the best thing. And yeah, we'll get talking about we'll get talking about more stuff on the show because I mean, like you spend a lot of game days with the University of Utah. You travel with them. That's what I think is kind of one of the most interesting parts. But it's because I'm a sports guy too, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It all started with being a sports guy growing up sports.
Yeah. Well, hey, I love having fellow sports ball people. I've had several sports media people on with me. A lot of my contacts, especially around here in Texas. I think here in a little bit I'll have a sports director out of Rapid City. He has Texas ties, so
very cool.
Yeah, Vic Quick is his name.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that in my notes and look him up. Yeah.
Yeah, good dude. I think I got Roger Riley. He's a long-time television journalist. And then let's see. Yeah, I got him.
I know his name really well.
Yeah, Roger Riley. Yeah, it always seems like when I was doing something, I was out and about. Like either it was going and covering like a feature story, or when I was at a Cyhawk game, like Roger was always there. Like I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. There we go. And then I've brought on some like internet people and people I've run across on the internet, and yeah, a lot of different people. I try to keep it kind of, and then I have my pro wrestling crowd.
He's an Iowa.
Who's that?
He's an Iowa guy, right? Is Roger an Iowa guy?
Is
he an Iowa guy?
Roger is in Iowa, but he started out in eastern New Mexico of all places. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know his history. I just know, at least I know the guy. I don't know him, but you know what I mean? I know his reputation. That's the best
right.
way to put it.
Yeah. He's a very interesting guy too. Very interesting. Been doing it a long time. And then when he was in the neighborhood, like when I used to work in Lake City, he'd drop by the office and visit. And not everybody does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
He used to drop by my office and we'd chit chat for like 10-15 minutes, and then he'd be on his way.
Yeah.
I know. It always like I'm just not great at multitasking, so I'm like talking, and then I'm doing forbidden math, and then
you do you, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Byron Stone, welcome in.
Yeah.
Iron Byron. to ask the bandit what he knows about Hide Your Heart from Hot in the Shade. Oh boy. Is that a loaded question?
What do I know about it? God, great song, and great song. And Hot in the Shade is not one of my favorite albums, but that song has a lot of personal meaning to me.
Nice.
But yeah, Kiss. That's not my favorite Kiss album. I mean,
okay,
it's one of the better ones, but it's honestly not as good as like I said, Animal or probably something like Asylum. Kulik, when he he was really good early on. Not that he was bad later on, but I think we're just kind of a little lost with that album because they were trying to transition. Like, okay, we went with the '70s Boston stuff, and then we went with the '80s metal stuff. Now we're going, and they decided to go full into maybe the more darker stuff. And so I don't think they really knew quite what they were doing.
Right.
They didn't have a good direction then.
I see. So my mom's gotten into Kiss as of late, all because of a tribute band from Dallas.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Nice, very good.
So she's gonna go out to she's gonna go out to the
tribute band are great.
Yeah, she's gonna go out to the Kiss cruise over in Vegas.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I've been on a lot of Kiss cruises, and during COVID, when they canceled the Kiss cruise, me and a bunch of guys, like Medusa's husband, and there was 15 of us. October, it was a weekend off that I wasn't doing University of Utah football, and there's a whole new story. There's a whole other story about that season where we were the only ones in the stadium. But we went to the MGM Grand, and it was a bunch of us that just got together, and then we created a little Facebook group and started doing the Kiss cruise on land. And then, years later, 8 years later, 5 years later, 6 years later, next thing you know, we see people are like, well, the Kiss cruises are gone, but Vegas, and like, it's kind of funny to be one of the founding members of that. It was
pretty cool.
Me, Patrick Riley, Alan Jonathan. There was, like I said, about 12 of us that kind of just came up with that idea to do something as kind of COVID, in October of 2020, as kind of COVID was getting behind us, but they weren't going to do a Kiss cruise. And to see what it's into was actual formal, and it was just us go in there, drink, and talk Kiss. There was no agenda, no official stuff, and to see it go into something as big as it has is so awesome.
That is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, all right. I am ready.
I love it. It's
that's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, all right. Here we go. All right, there's Matt Roblez. There I am. Hi. Hey everyone, welcome to the Unfiltered podcast, season 2, episode 12. I'm always surprised that I get this far. So today is like, I call him the most.
I'm glad I'm not episode 13.
I know. I thought initially I was going to have you for episode 13, and that would have been awesome. But I found out it was episode 12. Like, and I was like, well, dadgummit. But with me is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting guys out there. Like, he dabbles in pro wrestling. He dabbles in college athletics. He travels all the time. Always got a story to him. Ladies and gentlemen, the MK Bandit, Matthew Roblez. So welcome in, man. It's good to see you.
Hey, it's great to be here. Good to see you, man. I love it. Thank you for having me. Again, thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. And please, like, the pleasure's all mine. Like, for me to get to hang out with you just for a little bit, it means a lot. So for those unfamiliar with Matthew with Matthew Roblez, hey, tell if you were to show up at a speed dating event. Not saying that you're speed dating right now, but if you're at an event and you said like a cocktail party, there we go. That's even better. They're like, hey, Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what would you say? How would you introduce yourself?
I'm Matthew Roblez. I'm a licensed professional engineer. four owners of McNeil Engineering in Sandy, Utah. I'm also a licensed professional wrestler, and I can wrestle, I can manage, I can do commentary, and whatever you want to do in the world of pro wrestling. When I'm not doing wrestling and I'm not doing engineering, then I work for the ESPN 700 University of Utah football games, and I'm on air talent and a spotter. And spotting is quite a talent that not a lot of people have. And I'm one of the lucky ones to learn from the best, and that's who Matt Roblez is.
Okay, nice. Just like multi-dimensional. Like if it's not engineering, it's the Utes. If it's not the Utes, it's pro wrestling. I mean, you name it, Matt can probably do it and do it very well. So that's how I'd probably put it.
Well, I'm always on the move.
Always on the move. Always traveling. and I keep up with
Always
Matt
on the move, always traveling.
Oh man. All the traveling stories. So I think a really good starting point is so how I met Matt was through Squared Circle Pro. And one of the most interesting things was that and Matt and I were just talking about this before going on with the show, is that was Matt's big break. And I was like, are you serious? So so tell me about that start and how that opened, how being in Squared Circle Pro and being in Lubbock opened up a lot of doors for you.
Well, I was in Lake City, and these gentlemen, the Death Rage Cartel, Destiny, and they needed a guy in a suit to play an attorney role, and they asked me. They gave me general direction, and I was a heel attorney. And so, of course, and it's actually on YouTube, on their day. My very first time doing something like that. Now, I was a child actor.
Okay, wow.
So kind of knew my way around, doing things like I was a child actor, child performer. So, I'm nothing. I wasn't new to that world. Plus, I had been on air with ESPN. So I wasn't like I was starstruck. So I just did my thing. And about 3 weeks later, they called me and said, "Hey, we want you to come down. That you did great." And they booked me in the main event. And El Gringo Loco and Hobo Hank were in the main event. And they had me manage El Gringo Loco, and he ended up winning. And I was like, wow, this is great. And I thought it was a one-off. It was a good thing. And a few weeks after that, Rick Hensley called and recommended you, and I'd love for you to come, and we'd love for you to. And I was like, oh, okay. And there, against Hobo Hank, and that right there gave me the footage that I. And plus, the thing about pro wrestling, just how you and I met, and so many wonderful people, they see what you can do live, and so they go off to their part of the world, and eventually someone will say, "We need a bad guy in a suit," and they go, "Oh, I know a guy," and that's how so then I started getting all my bookings, basically doing that. And then it was odd because here in Salt Lake, they saw what I could do elsewhere, but they booked me as a good guy. Commissioner weekend when Salt Lake do a commissioner role, and then I applied and be the bad guy attorney, and it was just can't find a way. But back to the original point is, without Rick and without Kelly not having seen me, just trusting. Had he not given me that shot, I would not be here talking, because I really have the aspirations to do what I do now. I was happy doing ring announcing, and I was, doing ring announcing. I enjoyed that. That was my niche. There we go. And I don't think that was sustainable. So that's in a nutshell the story of how I got to be where I am today.
In quite a journey. You've been everywhere and anywhere in between. One place that we can have in common is actually the old ECW arena. So, like, I remember a few episodes ago, like, I was on with Rex, and we talked about, like, how Rex was able to get on Dragon Gate. But like you were able to get into weren't you able to get into like a show at ECW Arena as well? Like you actually weren't in a show.
Well, what happened is, I've been Tommy Dreamer. I was working with Bubba.
Okay, yeah,
Destiny
Bully
Wrestling,
Ray, yep.
and Dreamer was looking for care, and he didn't quite know what he wanted, but Bubba recommended me to Tommy Dreamer.
Huh.
Tommy Dreamer called me and said, "I've got something new for you." It was in Freehold, New Jersey, and I flew myself there. And he said, "If you do good tonight, I'll put you on tomorrow night at the ECW Arena. You do good there, then I'll give you a paycheck. I'll give you a paycheck."
Okay.
So he said, "You're going to be the New Jersey State Athletic Commissioner against it was the Rock and Roll Express against the Spirit Squad. And I'm gonna, just before the match starts, you're gonna come out, you're gonna break up the match, and too old. He's gonna come out," and it went on like that. So I did my job, and I must have done a good job, because then at ECW Arena, turned on. My spot was to run out, and when Dreamer's bleed, it's over. We can't do anything, and the fans know they're in or not. The back of Tommy Dreamer said, "You did a good job. Go down and talk to Monique. Tell her you deserve a $200, and we'll be talking to you." And I was booked 18 months there, and pretty much every single month at the ECW Arena.
Wow. Dadgum.
And that was the old one. All those, so I literally was there as they were. I was literally there as they were like every month I would come back. They just have a little bit more. But we're super lucky to be in the way it was when it was. But after about 18 months, it became a and 300. And then when I came back a few years ago with Missy Hyatt and performed with her, it was just a completely different arrangement. So I was really fortunate to have actually smelled, seen, was actually there, performing with ECW talent when it was before all the renovations.
Right. Yeah, because they've done some renovations like a few years ago, and I remember when I was there, that was like they did some renovations like post ECW, but not the extensive renovations that happened like after you were gone. Like my short time there was like, I think it was like 2010, and that was just to go see a Dragon Gate USA show, and Rex somehow got on. But no, like, yeah, it's those common threads. It's kind of funny because like when you go to the ECW Arena, it's like, oh man, this is such a shrine to professional wrestling. This is such a, like, it's like you almost want to kiss the floor. But I don't recommend kissing the floor. Just don't. But
well, no, you don't want to kiss the floor there. But I'll tell you something. There's something very special. I really truly believe that we leave a part of ourselves everywhere we go. And I mean this in a metaphysical way. And I don't mean to be too hippy dippy about it, but the energy and it's the same way with like Notre Dame Stadium. It's the same thing with the big house. It's all these things. I really believe that all those experiences are left there. And ECW Arena, in my opinion, God himself put Paul Heyman on this stage of professional wrestling. And that is what I still feel every time I go to the ECW Arena, the 2300 Arena, is the savior of professional wrestling. It is like going to Mecca if you're a Muslim. It's like going to Bethlehem if you're a Christian. It can't be described until you're there. It's trying to describe going over a waterfall to someone who hasn't seen water.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's what I feel about the ECW Arena. Yeah,
it's it doesn't look like much, but it means a lot. That's the big thing. You talked about like Notre Dame Stadium. You know, for me, it's you talk about Notre Dame Stadium, and then there's also like you've been to plenty of games like involving Notre Dame. You're a big Notre Dame guy too. As much as you root for the Utes, you're a big Notre Dame guy. So I know that's kind of like a whiplash, but I mean,
Yes.
but it's kind of that nice little tie where it's like I've been to all these really cool places, and ECW Arena just happens to be one of them. So like, but like talk about that experience of, you know, being a fan and like in going into like just something that you're like, oh, I grew up seeing Notre Dame on TV. Well, you know, oh, lo and behold, I'm here in Notre Dame Stadium watching the Fighting Irish, you know, play like, you know, BYU, like somebody you want to see Notre Dame stomp. So
yeah, it's funny you say that. My very first game I saw live was Notre Dame versus BYU. And it was an experience like none other. And it's again, like I said, you watch it on TV, you see it, you hear it, the hallowed halls, you know, shake down the thunder. You hear it so much, you're kind of like, yeah. When you go there, and everybody that goes there, there is something there very, very special. When you think of a school that has, you know, students dominate, and a campus smaller than most junior colleges dominate, you know, college football for so many years, that sense is there. And the most incredible experience that I had in that particular venue was when University of Utah played Notre Dame there in 2010.
Oh yeah.
And I went there. Yeah. And I went there as a member of the broadcast crew in all my red, and, you know, was doing my job as a University of Utah employee or an ESPN employee for 700. And so I got access to the locker rooms. I got access to all these different things. And one of my responsibilities that I do is after the game, I run down to the locker room and get the players for Bill Riley to interview. And so I got to go to the locker rooms, got to go behind the scenes. And that to me was like, I really did what that place was like. And it's like, it's hard to describe. It's something that you have to experience. And it's very religious. It's the pink locker room in Iowa.
Yep.
Same thing, you know. It's something that you hear about, something that you see. You know, you hear about Hayden Fry, you hear about stuff like that. Any of those arenas have that special identity. And when you get to be a part of it, it's something that sticks with you and you'll never forget.
Right. I never been to Kinnick, by the way. Just saying. Even though I'm a huge Hawkeyes fan, that's so weird. It's like Moses not entering the promised land. It might be
Yes.
a deal for one of my kids, but I was able to go to Jack Trice, and Jack Trice, they've had so many renovations over the years. But the press box is still kind of like it doesn't look scrunched when you really look at it initially, like when you walk in, but then again, with Utah being in the Big 12, have you been to Jack Trice yet?
We actually played state there. When we were in the Mountain West. And,
Okay.
I love that stadium. And when I remember, everybody kept telling us that we have to go to the Tip Top Lounge. And I thought it was this incredible bar. And there's this little teeny hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this really cool bar that like all the fans are there the night before the game. And I walked in and I kind of thought, uh-oh, but they were so inviting, so nice. And what I didn't realize is it was like the coach's corner in Moscow, Idaho. That place is one of the, I think they said in Sports Illustrated, one of the 20 places that you have to go to that is not an arena in college football.
Huh.
And I just kind of stumbled in there. And I don't know if it's still there, but yeah, I used to be playing them this upcoming year.
Right. Tip Top is still there. I'll let you know that one. So it's still there. So hey, definitely a return trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it's still off of Lincoln Highway in the Duff. So, but yeah, like it's still there. And then also I will say this about Iowa State fans, like as long as you're not like like a Kansas State fan. Well, okay, so here's one thing that Iowa and Iowa State fans can agree to. They both hate Nebraska. Like they don't like Nebraska one bit. Mostly because the Huskers tortured the Cyclones for years when back in the Big 8 years in the early Big 12 years, and then Iowa, even though they've had the upper hand against Nebraska the last few years, but like I remember walking into Cyhawk.
Did Seneca Wallace?
Seneca Wallace was with.
Did Seneca Wallace kind of change that?
Yeah,
he kind of changed that a little bit.
He did a little bit.
He kind of changed that a little bit.
He changed it a little bit. So the 2002 season for Iowa State was interesting. Iowa State had Seneca Wallace, and there were some good years. Right. There were some good years attached to Iowa State leading into 2002. Dan McCarney was really getting the program in the right direction. Iowa State, they trailed Florida State. They played Florida State in Kansas City, and Florida State was up I think about 28 points at halftime, and then slowly but surely Iowa State started coming back, and Iowa State almost won the game, and Seneca was actually in. The referees ruled him out, but he actually final play of the game, he's jumping into the end zone. Defenders are trying to push him away or whatever. And if you look at the replay, he was over the pylon, but the referees ruled him out. So Iowa State lost that game against Florida State, a ranked Florida State, mind you, Bobby Bowden, Florida State. And Iowa State then went on a run. They won 7 games in a row. They were ranked as high as number 9 in the country. And I remember the day where they were playing number 2 Oklahoma. And I remember the Iowa broadcasters, doing almost like a game day, like a college game day, ahead of OU and ISU. And they were like, Iowa State's going to win. Iowa State's going to win. And that was the game where the wheels fell off. Iowa State fans realized that, yes, so far so good, but we as a program still have a long way to go. Because it was Murphy's Law. Everything and anything went wrong for Iowa State. Yeah. It was rough. And that game alone, I will argue, set back the program about 2 years, or at least 5 years. And then
I'm trying to, and if I remember, wasn't Oklahoma number two in weren't they? It was weren't they number 2 in the country, and wasn't it 49-3 or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, it was a bloodbath. It was bad. Yeah. It was rough.
And it was at Norman, wasn't it?
It was in Norman. Yeah. Iowa State fans thought they could go into Norman and beat OU, but it's so funny because I can't even root against OU anymore because a friend of mine, Ben Arbuckle, is the OC there. That's how small the world is. That's incredible. It's so weird how small the world is, because it's I tell people, I'm well, I have a friend that, he does stuff with the University of Utah. And then I have another friend that was in my circle, he hung out with but yeah, he hung out with within my friend circle, and he ends up being the offensive coordinator for the University of Oklahoma. I don't know. That's weird. But
the sports community is so small.
It is. It's
really
small.
We're not. At least the American sports. Yeah, the American sports. I'm not talking European. I don't know anybody in soccer, but I swear, you do this long enough, and I've been doing it since 2001. You meet so many people, and it's like, oh, this guy, he was a broadcaster, now he's an OC here. This guy was a broadcaster. It's you go to each town, you start finding these things, and you realize how small this community really is.
Yeah, it's incredibly small. It's crazy how small the pro wrestling community is, and it's crazy how small the sports ball community is. There's so many fans, but it's when you get into sports broadcasting, you get in sports media, you find that Like, oh my gosh, like I'm rubbing shoulders with, people I looked up to. Or people I grew up listening to, like on a television broadcast or a radio broadcast. Like I felt that way when I was at like Cyhawk. Cause like there was Keith Murphy who's with WHO TV, been there forever. I remember when he was with WOY. He was with the ABC station before being a stalwart for the NBC station. And then it took me a lot of years to like, for us to really like interact and meet. But like, there was a lot of times where we rubbed shoulders and, it's incredible. It's a blessing, but it also like, don't mess up because people talk like,
oh yeah, and it's the old thing. It's so true. Is the greatest forms of communication are telephone and telewrestler. I mean, it's as good as it is bad, because it's like if you screw up, you're that screw up, depending on the severity of it, it's like a big fish story. It's gonna grow. If you do really good, it's the same thing. So and it's broadcasting, wrestling. I don't know if you remember Joe Quesada from Destiny Wrestling.
Yeah, I remember Joe. Yep.
Same thing. Yeah, he's in the comedy community. He's very similar. You've only, they talk about wrestling. You have a bump card. You can only take so many bumps before your body gives out.
Agreed.
Well, you have a F-up card, and there's only so many F-ups that we have on that card before someone says, we're not booking this.
Oh, no. Yeah, and I remember Joe. Never had a bad opinion about him, but yeah. like you said, everybody's got a mess up card, and if you mess up really bad, man, that mess up card really, the number of mess ups, like it gets cut by like at least 7/8. But yeah, my bump card came like way sooner than I wanted. I can't take a bump anymore. But
no, you know what? I'll go one bump. Give me one big bump. I'll jump off the balcony. You're getting just one. That's all you're getting. One bump.
Yeah. I knew some people that like, they could take millions of bumps, and then, some people just can only take one. Then it's like, okay, I'm never doing this again.
I'll give you one bump a show, but that's it.
Yeah, one bump per show. We got to make that special. Like, and that's part of the one thing is like, if you do it right, all you need is just one bump. That's it. But I'm not a wrestling psychologist.
Bubba Ray always talks about that. He would talk to us about that, and he would say, when you really think about it, he would. It's really cool about Bubba is he would take matches and make an analogy like a Kiss concert thing that we could relate to. He's like, you're remember the opening song, you're gonna remember the hits. If they don't play rock and roll all night, or they play rock and roll and screw it up, that's all I remember. So you want to make a good opening, give them kind of what they want, and that on point. Otherwise, I'll remember.
Right. I get that. Along with that, I kind of subscribe to kind of the Terry Funk, philosophy where, hey, we look like we're going to hurt each other, but we're not really hurting each other. Yeah, like the biggest thing is just taking care of the other person. But yeah, gosh, where else could I go with this?
Well, it's an art form.
Yeah, it's art. It really is. I used to kid. I was like, well, it's not ballet.
Well, I could just come out and punch you, and that's I guess an art in itself. Or I can throw a punch, have it tap you, not hurt you, but everybody around you thinks I killed you. Yeah. That's the art form.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. I kind of want to dwell on maybe some of your favorite moments. It can be during your time in the broadcast booth. It could be your time with Coach. He's now at Michigan now.
Tyler.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah,
Coach Whittingham. Yep. But yeah, like.
Yeah, well, it's there's so many favorite moments, but I'll tell you what, University of Utah. I know this sounds really weird, but I have the 2003 season. Tell you why is we hired our long-standing coach who brought the program to some prominence, had a couple of top 10 finishes.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in Urban Meyer, and no one knew who that guy was. Everyone was like, Urban who? And we were picked dead last in Mountain West. Yeah. And that season, exception of the Texas A&M and New Mexico game, was unbelievable. And we just rolled over everybody. And the feeling of that year was so different. And when we went to the Liberty Bowl, just dominated. A lot of people forget that year, the last 10 quarters of play, the University of Utah gave up 0 points. And we knew defense wins championships. Kyle Whittingham was the D coordinator. We knew good things were coming. That's probably, I know it's not a moment, but that was probably my favorite broadcasting experience. My favorite moment in professional wrestling would really have to be, as a performer, would really have to be when I was part of a major angle in House of Hardcore with Tommy Dreamer, Mercury, Bubba Ray, and you're in there with all these guys that you watch, Sandman, Blue Meanie. You're in there with all these guys that you had been watching all these years, and these guys were so professional and so good, and they treated me so well that it made it so easy for me to go out there and perform. Not that the performing was easy, but they didn't treat me like I was just some indie guy. And to go out there and it was, I believe it was House of Hardcore 37, I believe. Anyway, it was so amazing. Wanted to. That was 2017. That is like my watermark. I really feel like I've achieved. I felt then, since then. Those are probably two, like I said, two best experiences in either broadcasting or in pro wrestling.
Okay. So yeah, because I remember, what was it? It was like mid 2000s. Like Utah was like really, really good. They were starting to get really good. And by the time like they went to the Pac-12, it was a no-brainer. Like Utah belonged there. They were
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they were so good. And then what was it? There was like a year where they went to the Sugar Bowl and they beat Alabama. They beat a Nick Saban Alabama team. So
2008.
2008.
2008. Yeah. That was incredible. And funny story about that is I was you get a little press meal. You get a little press meal while you're doing, before the game. And I was sitting there with a guy from the union in New Orleans, and he gave you a chance. And I was there saying, this team is for real.
Mm-hmm.
Brian John, there's a team out there that's going to beat these guys. And so this guy from the Times-Picayune actually said, I'll tell you what, I don't gamble, but if Utah wins, I'll let you pick the headline.
Oh.
And I said, really? He's like, yeah. And I said, well, what if they lose? He goes, nope, it's not gamble. I'm telling you, you pick the headline if Utah wins.
Okay.
And so I said, well, you could use absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. And he wrote them down. And honestly, I forgot about it. Now remember, this is when you got your news from newspaper. 2009 first. I was in the hotel. I came back the cover of the Times-Picayune, it says absolutely. And I did it. And then I opened the sports page and it's there it is. So I used both of them.
Nice. So you use both of those. That's awesome. Dang.
He kept, I don't even remember the guy's name. He kept his word.
Yeah. Well, hey, sometimes like in media, you beg, borrow, and steal any way you can. So that's why I'm like, for me, that would be low stakes. That's not like giving you like a couple $100, for winning a bet. It's like, hey, that's heck yeah, I'll do that. Like, thanks for giving me ideas. Like,
right. And that was the thing, is nobody knew Utah. Nobody knew anything about Utah. So it was probably in like, I don't know anything about Utah. What do I come up with?
Yeah, true. I mean, I just remember, growing up on, those late night whack games, and Utah would be on some of those.
Yes.
Yeah. When the whack was actually like legit.
The
like,
whack game. Yeah, they had when Utah went from the whack, dominating the whack, to dominating the Mountain West, to dominating the Pac-12. I mean, people forget that Utah came from the depths of, from Jim Fossil, who actually was in the Super Bowl. He was our coach, and we would win maybe 6 games a year, all the way to literally dominating the WAC, dominating the Mountain West, dominating the Pac-12.
Yeah. Well,
and really, we're not dominating the Big 12 yet, but we're top 4. We're top 4
easy
team.
Easy. Yeah, like I would say like among that group, it's Utah, probably Arizona State. I want to say Texas Tech. So there's 3 I know for sure, and then Houston should actually be pretty decent this year, because Houston was good last year. So yeah, Houston's going to be dangerous.
You got to put Brigham Young in there as well. Dude.
Yeah, I got to put BYU in there too, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but then again, that's because they have all their ties from the University of Utah.
Right. Yeah. And what's really,
admit it, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. But I will say this, like, the reason why I can't ever root for BYU is because, like, if I ever had that, like, if I was ever forced to root for, the school, like in Provo, like, Matt's going to eat my lunch. Like, he's totally going to be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you rooting for them?
I always joke, 3 favorite teams. My 3 favorite teams: Notre Dame, University of Utah, and anything that plays BYU.
Since you're kind of like you're a big sports ball guy. You enjoy the traditional sports. I want to get kind of a local's thought about, like the Utah Mammoth coming in. Now there's talk of like Major League Baseball wanting to come to Utah. I know there's a group that wants to bring in MLB. Although like I've known Salt Lake as having like, the buzz and the bees and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So what's your thoughts as far as like a local sports fan, on the prospect of, like, oh my gosh, we have the Jazz, now we have the Mammoth. There could be a Major League Baseball team on the way. Is that really exciting, or is that just kind of a testament of how Salt Lake City is really blown up?
It's a testament to how Salt Lake City is really blown up. People forget that back in the late 90s, the Minnesota Twins almost came here.
Right.
They got to the point where they were actually taking deposits for season tickets because they were in some sort of dispute with, a stadium dispute, mm-hmm. whatever it was. And they were literally going to come here for a few years and maybe even stay permanently. And that was the first time that I think people realized that there is a good market here for Major League Baseball. And if any Atlanta Braves fans out there remembers Dale Murphy, well, he's from Salt Lake. He lives in Salt Lake, actually Alpine, but I'll say Salt Lake. And he's part of one of those ownership groups. And I went to his little fantasy thing a year ago, and he he told me, me, like he was speaking to the group, that there will be a Major League Baseball team in Utah in the next 5 years.
Okay. Wow.
That's what he really believed that. He said it with conviction. And I really believe that it will succeed. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this town has been sports starved for so long. And it was Utah Stars in the 60s won the late 90s, and that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And now, like you said, you've got the Mammoth, and Mammoth. Then you've got the Jazz, and sometimes on this, sometimes you have places. And so we are so sports starved. It's just a matter of time before we get a Major League Baseball team, if Major League Baseball will let us.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, and I've been keeping up with it, is Manfred wants another two teams. From what it's like, there's quite a few candidates, which is interesting. There's Portland. Of course, there's Salt Lake City. They'll probably build themselves as a Utah, and then there's like Nashville, the Research Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, and then Montreal's kind of a dark horse. But I would say, like, if they were to grow to 32, they probably need a team out east and a team out west, or they need to put more teams out west, because they can just slide more teams off to the east. And then I honestly think they're going to do away with the American and National Leagues. They're going to go more, geographic, where there's not so much, more so traveling, and you can allow like visiting fans to travel a little bit more. But like, I would say like Utah, that would be perfect for a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah.
But I know that was really loaded, but
in between, when you really think, no, but what I was going to say is Utah, when you really think about it, Utah is in between, like Denver and California.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking travel, it's just a natural. Now think of this. Now you've got Denver, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, then Los Angeles, and think about that. That could be the easiest road trip for team, road travel, and I back in the day, had my division and this division, and they had to totally retool everything. They retool everything to make travel more easy, to basically make things geographical. I think Major League Baseball, I don't know if they'll get rid of the leagues, but there'll be a lot of redistricting, if you will.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to, because you're not going to want to fly teams across. Like you said, I think they're going to divide the nation in half and basically have it geographic, a little bit like the NFL has done.
Yeah.
And hockey has done.
Yeah. You just split it right down the Mississippi River. But no, like I honestly believe, like, Utah, and I know, like, you and I are both big into alternative football leagues. We love our NFL, but like, I always get a kick when, like, when the USFL launched its like its rebirth season. It was funny because, like, Matt was there. He was in Birmingham for the Stallions against the New Jersey Generals. Really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think about that, and I'm like, okay, all right, like, so, like, maybe my question is like, what's the experience like for those, that are kind of used to the traditional sports leagues, as compared to, like, going to a USFL or a UFL or an XFL game? Because I had a friend of mine. He went over to an OG XFL game, and he was like, I tell you what, the football might have not been great, but Vince McMahon knew how to put together like something entertaining. Like he knew how to put something together. So it was just a bummer that the XFL didn't last longer, but especially the 2020 version. But what's kind of the experience like when you go to because like the UFL is coming to Oklahoma City, so it'd be interesting to kind of get your perspective on that.
Well, number one, I was at the very first televised XFL game in 2002, Las Vegas Outlaws and New Jersey and New York, New Jersey Hitmen. And I'll tell you, or no, the Chicago Hitmen. It was the New York. Anyway, but I was there, and you were right. The football was not the best, but the whole thing was entertaining. And I went to the first Rebirth USFL game. I've been to arena football games, and here's the way I see it. Who doesn't like that? Okay, you can go to the greatest pizzeria in the world, and you're going to eat it and go, "This is great." But when you're hungry and you're at maybe Little Caesars just so not great. It's cheap, but you're gonna eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's kind of how the UFL arena football, all that is. It's pizza for someone who's hungry. Like I am not a sports snob. I want to see all sports.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see everything. And so when you go to those UFL games, number one, you're seeing guys that you're not going to see again, most likely. And if you're a team like maybe Utah State, or you're a team like even Utah, sometimes you're not going to see these guys in the NFL every Sunday. And so if you want to see your favorite player play, that's probably where you get it. The other thing that I really love about the UFL is that you're going to see people who got to see him play in the UFL before he was anybody.
Yeah.
And so you're there kind of, oh my gosh, this is exciting. There's this guy, and you'll see a guy and you're like, wow, he's really good. Then you hear, season, he's got a Bengals tryout. I hope he does good. And so if you really like the sports, if you're really into the sports and the whole, sporting aspect of it, you will love those games. And now the UFL this last season kind of got it, is that you've got to provide not just an entertaining product, but an entertaining experience. And they're doing that now. And just like you said, the football may be a little off, but you're going to love seeing the players climb the ladder, and the experience is wonderful.
Yeah.
And again, it's either that or watching last year's NFL again or something. So it's the best you're going to get right now.
Agreed. Like I've always rooted for, kind of the spring leagues to do well. In my personal experience, and I think this, Matt, is I grew up on the Iowa Barnstormers. So, like, I remember when the Barnstormers were good, by the way. Like, I remember when they were good, because in the IFL, they're not good. But, I grew up on those really good, really thrilling Iowa Barnstormer games, and I remember there was one year they almost went to the Arena Bowl. And they played the Orlando Predators, and I just remember this, corner. His name was Fisher. He kept on getting burned all the time by the Orlando Predators, and unfortunately, just that was just enough to where the Barnstormers couldn't keep up. But there was it was kind of cool to see the Barnstormers be in a hunt almost every year for about 5-6 years for an Arena Bowl appearance. Unfortunately, it just nothing could have prevented them from going to New York because, Jim Foster was running out of money. But Jim Foster, what a visionary for his time, especially, for how popular arena football got, I would say from about the late 90s all the way to, I would say until about the first bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But I know what tickled your fancy though is the LA Kiss. You loved the LA Kiss.
The LA Kiss was it's custom made for Matt Roblez. I mean, honest to God, you would go to the LA Kiss game, and they would, at the beginning of each season, Kiss would do a concert for season ticket holders. You saw the LA Kiss play, and then after the game, Bruce Kulick's band would come out and play. So I mean, what more do you want? You got, and then the Tilted Kilt was within walking distance of the Honda Center. So you got booze, LA Kiss, heavy metal. I mean, made for Matt Roblez.
It was. I mean, like, I thought like the coolest thing with the LA Kiss was just like it was very like a rock band inspired uniform. Like they had like the chrome helmets with the flames and everything.
The flame.
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. I wish the Kiss would have lasted a little longer, but when the AFL kind of cratered again. Although it did try to make a comeback, but it's not the same AFL. But
no. Well, the AFL made the mistake that most people make, and I mean, you can look at the original USFL in the '80s, and the Canadian football made the same. Like every league makes the same mistake. They take this much of popularity and success and try and turn it into this much. And you cannot expand. I mean, think about this. There was 36 AFL teams at one point in time. That's unsustainable. That's unsustainable. Yeah, and if you remember in the 90s when the CFL expanded into the United States and had a team in Las Vegas, Shreveport, Baltimore, Sacramento. I mean, it dang near bankrupted that league, and then they went back to the 8-team format. And that's the thing that the UFL is doing right, is they're not expanding too soon, too big. And the AFL, that's what they did. The AFL was just basically, and from what I understand, and there's been a lot of articles written on it, it was almost like a Ponzi scheme. In that the AFL was sustaining themselves by bringing in new team and taking all this money to kind of keep themselves afloat. So now they've got 36 teams, no more new teams coming in. Guess what? We're done. And that's, if you remember, they had to take a year. They took a year off in, what was it, 2008 or 9?
Yeah. Yep. I remember it was 2008. Yeah.
They were doing it right, and then they 2008. Yeah, and they were doing it right. And then they did it again, and they started expanding again. It's like, but as from what I understand, the expansion in the AFL was just how they sustained themselves. They were just always one step ahead of the Reaper.
Yeah,
but arena football is not dead. I mean, the indoor football, the IFL. There's so many different smaller leagues now that are doing it right, and it's an entertaining product. And like I said, it's either that or UFL or nothing.
Right. Yeah, and the original AFL, like it seemed like there was like a new team every year. As much as I loved the Barnstormers and I love the Orlando Predators, I didn't care for the Tampa Bay Storm, but hey, I understood that the Storm were a vital part of the league. And then you had other stalwarts like San Jose. You had, San Jose, Arizona. Why am I forgetting about the Arizona Rattlers? My goodness. I should know my arena football, and I keep forgetting about the Rattlers. Hunky Cooper was so underrated.
Remember Hunky Cooper?
I remember Hunky Cooper. I remember Barry Wagner. Barry Wagner and Touchdown Eddie Brown, like those guys.
Barry Wagner?
Yeah. Barry Wagner was a stud.
Legends.
Oh my gosh, they were so good.
Captain Morgan.
Oh, yeah. And then Aaron Garcia, he played arena ball forever. He played for just about everybody.
Yeah.
And then,
we're overlooking the most obvious one, Kurt Warner.
Yeah. He went from sacking groceries at the local.
Ball, he wouldn't. And that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's like my biggest overall point is in football, in every other sport, soccer, in baseball, in hockey, that gap from college to the top tier fill in with minor league. Baseball has a minor league system. Even basketball has the G League.
Yep.
Football has nothing. And now we have, and that's where arena ball, think about that. Think about it. Kurt Warner, a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, league MVP. If there was no arena ball, that guy's bagging groceries still.
Unfortunately, yeah. Or he'd be selling insurance somewhere.
But
One
now
of the
there's,
two.
now there's something.
Yeah. Now
you
there's
go.
something.
But now there is something. That's like, yeah. And so like you say, what, kind of back to the point we had earlier, like what do you get when you go to a UFL game? It's the knowledge that you're literally looking at a future Hall of Famer somewhere. There's so many people that said, I remember seeing Kurt Warner play in Iowa against the Rattlers, and now look at him. There's people actual feeling that you were that supporter when they were just on their way up.
Right. So like, and you remember this, Matt? Like when I was growing up, they treated the Barnstormers like a major league team. Like they would have the Barnstormers on.
Yeah, and they were.
Yeah. They for Des Moines. Yeah, they were a major league team, and we always said that Barnstormers were they were our only major league team, and a lot of Iowans took pride in that. The only sucky part is they played in the barn, but the barn was special. Like the barn was like this old arena built in the 50s. The fans are basically on top of you. Like, I mean, they were like, there was no bad seat in that house. I think there were maybe a handful, and they were like at each end of the end zones, but that's where the loudest fans were at. And that was where the cheap seats were at. You could buy like tickets for like, maybe like $10, maybe $7 if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
And like, yeah, like there would be people that would.
Do you know what I've always said about the barn?
What's that?
The barn is the ECW arena of arena football.
Okay. I will buy that. I will buy what you're selling. Yep.
No, because if you guys like us that are like, I love ECW because this, and there's smaller things. People that know arena football, you really think of a few things, and one of them is the barn. And I really feel that and when you talk to some of the older players, that's like a badge of honor. Like, I got to play in the barn. We played Iowa when they were good or anything like that, because all the other arenas were legit arenas. And it's like, it's not special to say I played in the Delta Center. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because so many other people have played there, because the Jazz, the Mammoth, okay, great. Yeah, you played in the Delta Center. Whoop-de-doo. But when you say you played in the barn, that's special.
Yes. Oh yeah. The barn was, it was very special. Like, even to just go see a game there. Even if you were like in the nosebleeds, the nosebleeds, there was no bad seat in that house. Like, my first game was actually, you'll get a kick out of this, is the Iowa Barnstormers against the Buffalo Destroyers. That is a deep cut of arena ball. Like, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. And what's crazy is a guy I went to college with, he ended up playing a little bit in the CFL. He played for Montreal. And that folds into another really fun story about another arena ball player I got to know. And this consultant was trying to scout out this arena player for Montreal. So it all folds into each other. But no, like Tanner Marsh, I remember going to bars with the guy, just like going and meeting up with him and just being stupid college kids. Even though I was more like Billy Madison, he was like a true college kid. But he ended up like transferring to Arkansas Tech, and then he somehow ended up with the Alouettes, and he played a few games with the Alouettes. And then he ended up playing with Columbus, the Columbus Destroyers, for a little bit. And then now he does like a camp, and he's well to do. He's well off. But what's crazy is that like when I was covering the Amarillo Venom indoor football team, they were doing really good that year too. And they had Nate Davis from Ball State. Ball State's like one of Ball State's very few like really good years. Like they went unbeaten, and then they ended up losing like the MAC championship against like I think Turner Gill's Buffalo Bulls.
Yeah.
This is where I get really deep cut, and then they end up losing the bowl game. I never brought that up with Nate. Like whenever I talked with Nate, I never talked about like, you know, them like all basically giving away the MAC championship in their bowl game. He was like, "Yeah, we went 12-0, baby." You know, and that's
yeah. Don't bring that up.
Yeah. I was like, "Well, wait a minute. Didn't you guys lose the like Turner Gill's Buffalo Bulls?" But I never brought that up with Nate. But I was working for a newspaper in Dumas, and this random gentleman reaches out to me, and he's like, "Hey, can you tell me about Nate Davis?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I can tell you about Nate Davis." And I give him the whole spiel, and I'm like, "Yeah, he's doing really well. He's the quarterback and for the Emerald of Venom." And he was like, "Yeah, like I want to see if he wants to have a tryout with the Montreal Alouettes." And I think,
wow,
yeah, one of my regrets is I like, because I was so deeply like, this is where the sports fan in me kind of like said, okay, you might have just denied somebody an opportunity. And I feel really bad. And if Nate ever sees this, I'm like, I want to apologize. But like the Montreal Alouettes were coming to Colin, and they were trying to get hold of Nate through me. And because I was like, the Venom are doing so good, like let's let them ride out the rest of the season, like so they don't tank. So I was like, okay,
that's
all right.
funny.
Like I brought it up with the ownership because I knew the owners at the time, the Tucker family. And Stephanie, she's now like the executive director of like the Chamber of Commerce down in Salina. And then Toby is I think he's the superintendent down in Anna. And really, really pretty parts of Texas, like really pretty. But yeah, like, yeah, I feel really bad. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I denied Nate Davis a shot at the CFL. But hey, I also at the same time, like I regard myself as an Argos fan. So maybe if like the Toronto Argonauts came a calling, I might have been like, I'd love to see Nate in double blue. But while I'm a fan of the Boatmen, and they're doing okay. Yeah. Aren't you a Stamps fan?
I'm a Saskatchewan Roughrider fan.
Rough Riders, okay.
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that game on Friday night. It was terrible. We're 2-0, and you know, it just Saskatchewan. I mean, was playing. They would get they won the Utah Jazz. The same thing. They just can't get there anymore. It's like they have these great teams, and they make all the right moves, and they have these great off-season things, and they get 2 and I don't know if it's the universe imaginary living into their game or what, but they can't get there anymore. I don't know what the problem is, but yeah, I'm a Riders fan.
Okay.
And the reason, and it's kind of funny because Regina has people forget. You know, everybody thinks about Calgary, and the Calgary Stampede and Stampede Wrestling, but there's a huge wrestling tradition in Regina.
Really?
And in that area. And so that's kind of where my loyalty came from, is meeting some people who were wrestlers from there who would be like, I didn't have a CFL team, and they're like, you got to watch these guys. And it was probably about 12 or 13 years ago that, you know, an Andy Fantuz was playing. I really having a Canadian football team, and it was because of the wrestlers that I met from Regina.
Okay. Have you ever been to Regina?
I've never been there.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I've never seen a Canadian Football League game in Canada. Now, I've seen them in Las Vegas.
Okay.
You know, when they had back in the 90s.
When they had the posse.
I've never seen, the Las Vegas posse. And I've never seen a Canadian Football League game in Canada. So of all the times I've been to Canada, it's always to wrestle or be a part of wrestling. And it's always, you know how it works. You go in on Friday, you're back on Sunday.
Yeah.
You go in on Thursday, you're back on Saturday. So I've never had the time. Even if there was a game there, it would be too difficult for me to stay. But I'm hoping one day to get there. There's a really dear friend of mine. Her name is Michelle. She's a really dear friend. I've been hanging out with her for years. She's from Regina. She actually works in the gift shop of the Riders, and so I am making it a goal to go to Regina when there's good weather and visiting her and seeing a game.
Nice. There was one point where I was going to work about 2 hours away from Winnipeg. And I was like, okay, if I take this job, I can go see the Bombers play. And it'll be even better when the Argos come to town. Like, although I would probably be like kind of covering up my Argos jersey because I'd be like, I don't know how the Bombers fans are, but no, like that was a cool thing. I ended up going to Rapid City instead, and Rapid City's okay. Like Rapid City's good. A lot of D2 football around. Got to know both football coaches there. Covered both South Dakota Mines and Black Hills State. Just a little bit for a little tiny spell. And then now I'm back covering the alma mater with West Texas A&M. But yeah, I had a little bit of a.
I actually lived in Keystone, South Dakota.
Did you? Oh, that's really pretty. That's a really pretty town.
In 1991, in 1991, I was recruited in college. It was the year before my senior year to go up there and work in Keystone, and work at the Gallery of Indian and Western Art right there at the base of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And they actually you live there. They have all those shops there and everything in Keystone. And the people that they bring people in like myself. And that was probably the best summer that I ever had. And I think it was from May to August. And basically the money that I made from May to August working in Keystone, South Dakota, it paid for the rest of my school that year. And so it was a really good deal. And so when we wanted to, when we had a day off, we would go to Rapid City. And at the time there was a CBA team there, and I can't remember what their name was. Remember the Continental Basketball League? CBL. Yeah. And they had like a camp or something, almost like the summer league, the NBA summer league. Anyway, we went and saw them play and some other teams playing, kind of like a combine type thing. But it's pretty cool. But yeah, I used to I lived like about six months in Keystone, and
crazy.
And I to be honest with you, I still sometimes have dreams about it. It was a really great time in my life. It was during the 50th anniversary of Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah.
And President Bush came. I got to see that. They brought us up behind the heads, and I mean it was an experience.
Yeah, that's cool. I mostly covered sports, but whenever I had like an off day, like I'd go run up to Mount Rushmore, or I'd go run over to Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse is really blown up. Like it used to be just like one or two buildings and then just the mountain itself. And now it's like a whole sprawling complex. Like it's got a restaurant. It's got a place where you can learn more about the Lahota. And it's a really interesting place. And the gift shop's gotten a lot better too. But
yeah, I haven't been back since 1991.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty out there. I really didn't like driving around in the snow because they weren't like Iowa. Like Iowa would bring out the plows once it started to snow. Rapid City's like, nope, you're on your own. Like, hopefully you have four-wheel drive. Like, and I remember.
They just throw sand. Seriously.
Yeah.
Don't they just throw sand on the snow and say you're on your own?
Yeah, they wouldn't. But because of the Chinook winds, like there would be snow, and then within like a few days, it's all gone. like, that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the Chinook winds. And it was kind of interesting because like it could get really cold, like it could get like down to -20 at night, and then a few days later, it's back up in the 40s, and the snow's all going away, and. Yeah, Rapid City had bipolar weather. Like, a lot of people like in their certain parts of the world will be like, well, our weather is bipolar. I was like, no, like Rapid City was bipolar. Like, but it was fun though. Like I remember, like I've covered multiple Rapid City Rush games. Got to know their ownership. Really great guys. I was there. I got there after the Marshalls kind of went under. That was interesting. And let's see. They have a really nice arena there now. It's called Summit Arena. It was built like in 2021. Super nice. I kept on asking, like, I was like, okay, all right, there's no permanent tenant, and they hardly use the Summit Arena. Save for like the Lahota, like, nation, like the LNI, the Lahota Nation Invitational, which is like this huge basketball tournament with all these native high schools competing there, along with like some other local schools. And then there was, but I was like, you know what? Why don't you guys try gunning for like a G League team? You guys have the arena for it,
right?
And and Denver's only 5 hours away. Like you can actually do a nice little. You get a puddle jumper, you jump over to Denver from Rapid City, because like the Nuggets, they have their G League affiliate in like Grand Rapids. And I don't want to take anything from Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids might be an awesome town, but I was like, wouldn't that make more sense? And then if I was Rapid City Sports Commission, and D'Amico does a really nice job there. I was like, one of my goals would be to get like a G League team in Rapid City. It'd be perfect. And bring back the Thrillers. Ooh, man. Oh,
yeah.
Look at me having ideas.
There's another town that used to be really good with arena, and they were the Casper, Wyoming. I know it sounds crazy, but when Utah had the Warriors, and the Utah Warriors would go and play the Casper Cavalry, and they became the Wyoming Cavalry. And
yeah,
they have that. I've always wondered why Casper, Wyoming, and I know what's Casper, Wyoming, but you talking like G League or certainly arena football, why there aren't more things there, because their arena is so nice there.
Yeah, it's on
the top of a hill, and like you said, they only had one dedicated team, and that was a Cavalry. And I always thought, gosh, you could do anything in here. And basically, aside from concerts and the arena football that they had there, which was at the time the National Indoor Football League that became the Indoor Football League, that's all they did there. And I always thought Casper was a great town for something like that.
Yeah. And Wyoming's just a great state. Like I've been out to Wyoming multiple times. The last time I went, like I actually it was in April, and the Bighorns like still had snow. Like, and I was like, oh man, like I can't go hike, but it is what it is. But like they're like, I think like people think of like they want to center their stuff out so far east, but I was like, these smaller towns out west, they really like, they'll support their teams. Like, and I think if I remember correctly, like they tried to revive the Wyoming Cavalry this past year.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they're kind of in a weird fringe football league, but hopefully the IFL, or I know the IFL just announced like teams in Athens, and they announced another team. Gosh, where did they announce the other team at?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But no, like, I mean, put one in Wyoming, man. Those Wyoming people, they would eat that up.
I'm telling you.
The Wyoming Knights.
Oh, they do. It was crazy. Well, see, with the Utah Warriors, they played in Orem, and in an arena that was 5,000, and we would maybe get like 1,500, 2,000. Casper, when we would play there, I went there to a bunch of different games. And that place, I don't know what the capacity of that was, but it was 100% completely packed to the gills. And everybody, it was weird because everybody when you would walk around that day, were in the Wyoming Cavalry or Casper Cavalry jerseys. It was a game day feel. Whereas in Salt Lake City, people hardly even knew the Utah Warriors were even around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's so funny because like I'm sure you're familiar with like the Utah Blaze when when the Blaze came in, and then they had and then they had the Warriors, then they also had the Screaming Eagles. The Screaming Eagles was interesting.
That was the best. That was the best. I'm going to cut you off right there to tell you.
Feel free to cut me off. That's great.
Was the best because the fans called the plays. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, like
You had an app on your phone. And it would say run or pass, and then you would pick, and then it would give you the different plays. It would give you 8 different plays, and you would pick the play. And then there's literally the O coordinator had an iPad, and the technology made it so it would say pick this play. So literally the fans called and at the end of the season, although we didn't get in the playoffs, we didn't have a great record, we had the -- 1 offense in the league that year.
See, hey, the fans know a thing or two. Come on now.
Everything was an onside kick, and we went for 2 every time.
Oh man, everybody played Madden for real, which is glorious.
It really was. It was crazy. And then I actually would make play sheets, and me and my brother would like actually scout out teams, and we would make play sheets. So, and like the fans around us would be like, print me one up next game. So I'd hand these play sheets, and I'd be like, okay, it's 2nd and 6, and here's the defense. So call this, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was to me, like, I've talked to so many people saying best overall experience. And if they had stayed in the IFL instead of trying to do that fans only league or the FAFL or whatever they tried to do, I think it would have succeeded. But they tried to make their own league, and then it went on for a couple of years, but it's not there anymore. And that was the greatest thing, was fans calling the plays.
It was. And I think the one thing that I remember out of the fan-controlled football was when they had Johnny Manziel for a spell.
And didn't have T.O. too?
I think they had Terrell Owens for a hot minute.
It was T.O. Yeah, Johnny Manziel. Yeah, was it T.O. or Ocho? I can't remember who was on. Yeah, but the fan controlled the. Why do you? They always have to map the thing. They stay screening. They use the screen for proof of concept. There's never any plan to have the long term. They morphed into that little by little. I think it would have got, instead of saying, okay, now we're in a new league, I think it would have succeeded.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and I think a lot of people would have paid money for like Johnny Manziel and T.O. to just show up. I remember T.O. played for like the Allen Wranglers, and the Venom players were telling me about when T.O. was playing, they gunned for T.O. They hated Terrell Owens. They would go after him.
Wow.
Yeah. They were like, we hated that guy. We punished him all the time. What's that now?
Gary Crowton I think he played for Crowton at Winnipeg in CFL.
He might have.
If I remember correctly.
He might have. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him where he played. He played for the CFL, because like Ricky Williams played in the CFL. Like Johnny Manziel played in the CFL. Yeah. Like, and then I think the CFL got sick of like Johnny Football's antics, so they kicked him out. Like,
guy's nuts. He's crazy.
He is crazy.
When you think about that guy, you think about the people that have done so much with so little, like a Buff Bagwell or something. He's like the opposite of that. He did so little with so much opportunity.
Right. Agreed. Oh gosh. Yeah. Buff Bagwell. That's a good one. Cause I remember seeing the whole documentary about Buff, and it made me into like a little bit of a Buff Bagwell fan. I always liked Buff Bagwell a little bit. But I think this would be a good segue is, you travel a lot. What are some of your favorite places that you like to travel to?
Wherever the money is.
There you go. That's smart.
Other than that, I would say right now, Phoenix Championship Wrestling and Phoenix Championship Wrestling in Phoenix, and Future Stars of Wrestling in Las Vegas right now have the cheat code to independent wrestling. And because number one, the cities are so great. Phoenix is amazing city.
Mhm.
Phoenix Mesa area is great. Las Vegas, well, and so to those cities right now for me are so much rewarding. They're great cities, and the companies are so amazing to work for. In particular, championship wrestling is it literally done right. And same with Future Stars, homegrown talent. They're not having to bring in Hulk Hogan every other week or something like that to bump up their numbers.
Mhm.
Literally, we brought in last show they brought in ODB, and like that was the biggest name talent that they had on there for a long time, because
Interesting.
they're getting 650 700 people just with their homegrown talent. Same in Las Vegas, HyperX Arena, in the Luxor, selling that place out with just local talent, guys like me, just
Wow.
guys that want to see. And I'm not WWE, but fans come and pay to see me. When my favorite places to travel are Phoenix and Phoenix, Las Vegas packages there.
Okay. Okay. And then I had to ask you about this because you were in Vegas, not for WrestleMania per se, but you were there for like a kind of an adjacent event. Talk about how cool that is, because you were like in a viewing party with like Missy Hyatt, and then it was like Dawn Marie, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Missy, my girlfriend Missy Hyatt, and Dawn Marie, and the Godfather, and it was at the Hard Rock. And first of all, like the greatest thing about WrestleMania is not just that it's like the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. It's the opportunities that it gives so many independent guys, because it's an entire week of shows, 3 and 4 shows every day, sometimes in multiple arenas. And when you get to, and there's so much talent. I'm talking of Missy Heights, Jasmine St. Clair, Stan, I mean, all these guys are all there at the same time. Bumper party at the Palm, and then to be able to rub shoulders with all those guys at one time is a tremendous experience. And it's something that you're never going to get that much talent, independent, legend, you name it, talent in one spot. And so in one day, you can go and see the top WWE talent as well as the former top WWE talent, legends, indie guys, indie shows. Amazing experience. And for a guy like me, it was an opportunity to get my brand out there and known so much better than I normally would say just one show in Boise, Idaho, or in Reno, or even in Las Vegas or Phoenix. So it was a great experience. It's really a lot of fun. It's something that every wrestling fan should take a week off of their life, go and see all the shows.
Yeah, like that almost happened with me. So there's a fun story related to that. So I had a friend that like hit me up, and he was like, hey, like, my friend has tickets to WrestleMania, and I'm trying to get people to go with me. And that's when I hit you up, and I was like, hey, like, what other shows can I go see, while I'm in town for WrestleMania? And of course, Matt being awesome, he's like, hey, check out this show, and this show. And I was like, okay, I can make those recommendations. And what happened is this guy was like, he was given red flags like crazy. And it was one of my other friends that was like, don't you think this is a little sketchy? Like, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can buy that. And so I ended up having like a phone call with this guy that was that had purchased all the tickets or whatever, and with another friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing this guy does is he rags on my other friend, and he's saying F this, F that. Like, he's smoking like a chimney. He's looking like he rolled out of a gutter. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. And it was to the point where I bought the plane tickets. I was planning to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was ready to go. I was like, okay, all right. Then I started asking the intelligent questions. I was like, okay, all right. Well, if we had the tickets and we had the hotel, well, hey, can we be able to see the ticket stubs? Could we be able to get those? Because a lot nowadays it's so digital that has to be emailed out. I was like, just email us the confirmation numbers, and email us the confirmation numbers, and then I just want to see the hotel booking, which is just simple forward, email forwarding, easy stuff. But this guy made like a mountain out of a molehill, and he didn't give me the answers. So I was like, yeah. So I ended up giving like a.
That sounds sketchy.
Yeah, it was very sketchy. And so I was like, okay, all right. I just paid for tickets to go to Las Vegas. So here's what I'm going to do. Hey, Mom, do you want like, do you want like? I ended up getting credit for the plane tickets, and then I ended up just giving the credits back over to my stepdad, so he can be able to fly around. Yeah. So I mean, we were able to make lemonade out of lemons, but yeah, it was very weird. But I was like, man. I was like, because WrestleMania is probably going to be in Saudi Arabia next year. I was like, this might be my shot, And then, of course, like they announced SummerSlam in Minnesota, and I'm like, I can't go to Minnesota. Like, I'm in Texas. Like, I can't win.
No, I mean, you'll get there. I mean, eventually, everything cycles through. It's going to get there. It'll be in Dallas again. It's I promise you'll get to go. And unless anybody out there, I recommend them going. Let me just say a couple of things. Sure. I think there's two types of wrestling fans in this world. I think there's WWE fans, and then there's wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
And the WWE fans, they only care about WWE. And so those are the people that will come in and they'll do all the WWE sponsored events, or only those, and only WrestleMania. Then there's the wrestling fans that'll forego the WWE sponsored, fan events, stuff like that, and go to all the indie shows and go to Game Changer and go to Ring of Honor and go to and those are the fans that I think sustain the business. And so if you're one of those wrestling fans,
Right. Yeah. It's really weird because there was a super fan in Amarillo, and she was so caught up in WWE, and I ended up taking the jump, and I was like, why don't you go support the local indies? She told me to go to hell. Like, I was like, what? Like, yeah, it's so weird.
Well,
like,
I see it all the time. Like, I see it all the time. I'll see in Albuquerque, New Mexico, AEW will come and they'll sell, 5,000 seats, and Duke City Championship Wrestling does great there. And they're an amazing group. They elevate every single month, but they're only pulling 650. That's only a huge crowd. But what happened to all the other 4,500 wrestling fans? Why are they not beating down the doors to see Duke City Championship Wrestling?
Yeah,
because there's two types of wrestling fans.
Right.
There's the WWE fans, and there's wrestling fans.
Agreed.
Or fans of wrestling.
Yes. Agreed. Completely agree. Yeah, it's really hard. It's hard enough to convert non-wrestling fans into liking pro wrestling. You got to be like a special breed to like pro wrestling. People like it, like when WrestleMania comes around, but when it gets to Night of Champions, where Sami Zayn finally wins, the undisputed WWE Championship, it's like, whoa, like, Like, whoa, that's huge. That's huge for us. Like, and definitely a big win for a wrestling fan as well. So yeah, it really comes down to like, it's WWE fans, and then it's like fans who watch wrestling on television, so they want to go see the people on television. And then it's like the real wrestling fans that, you know, they understand how things work. They support the local product.
Yeah.
And they love wrestling for how it is, no matter the talent level. Because the cool thing with independent wrestling, and I will go tell it on the mountain. You know, take me to whatever mountain, I'll tell it. You know, when you go to an independent show, you never know who's going to, you know, get called up to the big leagues. I feel like a lot of independent guys that I remember seeing, like Dragon Gate, and even to the lesser extent, like a Game Changer Wrestling, where they actually had a show in Des Moines. A good friend of mine, John West, he was on the show like a few weeks ago. We actually had to push him back because the show was going to run up against him going to Game Changer. So like, I was like, hey, no problem. Go to Game Changer. I won't stress you out too bad. And, like you never know who's going to be like in AEW or in the Fed tomorrow. That's the beauty of independent pro wrestling.
Look at me. Look at me. I can't tell you the list of people that I've managed that I end up seeing in WrestleMania. The latest Junior Fatu. I mean, for what, 8 years, I was managing him off and on throughout the Indies. And then the next thing you know, he's in New York and he's on WrestleMania. And I go to these stores and they have his autographed figures. And Chelsea Green is another one. Worked with her in Shotzi. And it's kind of the same reason why I like the UFL and arena ball. Same type of thing. You're either a fan of the NFL or you're a football fan. You're either a fan of the WWE or you're a fan of wrestling. You know?
Agreed. And it's crazy because like I remember going to T-Anchor Flea Market, you know, because like the Territory League, which was kind of the precursor of Knox Pro in Southern California. Rikishi had a really great concept. Like you could put together like these teams, and I thought the really cool idea would have been like, okay, you make the Samoan Dynasty, then you make it like a sports league where you have like the Emerald Outlaws against like, you know, the Las Vegas Rustlers or something. And then you do like a big event where they basically like they battle each other in a series of different matches, different match types. I thought that was what at the time the Territory League was trying to do that. And I thought that was such a great idea. It was just a bummer that never took off, but. And
it was the whole I am wrestling. Remember that? Hashtag I am wrestling.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
That was their catchphrase for Territory League. I am wrestling. Because John, one of my very good buddies, Johnny Utah, he's still a ref for Knox Pro. And he would have me everywhere I went. He would say, "Please do this," and I'd have the I am wrestling thing to put over Kishi's product.
Nice. But yeah, like going back to that, like it was really funny, and I did probably the best promo I ever did in my life. Like, and Rikishi was fumbling, like he was like trying to get the phone to record me doing the promo for them. But it was when we got to meet. When we got to meet Jacob, and I'm just like, dude, he has superstar written all over him. Like Jacob Fatu to end up being in a WrestleMania one day. Yeah. I'm just like, you know, I was like, I called it and Booker T called it. Like, I was like, that man's going to be in WrestleMania someday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how small the world can really be. Okay. Yeah. You know, here's a fun question for you. Like, what is something or some things about you that nobody would know about you just by looking at you? Because when people like look at, you know, the MK Bandit, you know, they're like, oh man, the heel or the energy drinks, or, I mean, maybe nowadays like Missy Hyatt. I mean, Missy's awesome, but Matt Roblez is just as awesome too. So just know that. Yeah. But what are some things about you that nobody would know about you just by looking at you?
Probably that I visit my mother every day. She's the 9-year-old community, elderly community. And I visit her every day. Mother was the one. My dad was a professional athlete. My dad was a badass in sports.
Oh, cool.
But if it wasn't for my mother, when I was scared, when I was playing football and everybody else was better and bigger than me, and it wasn't for my mother telling me, you tell yourself every time you go out there, I will not be defeated. I'm not going to be defeated. And my mom's promos and my mom's speeches before football practice, and my mom taking me to football and basketball and baseball and practice, it wasn't for my mother. I wouldn't be here today.
There you go. Hey.
Now, my dad had a great influence, but in terms of the one that, my dad's at work, I'm spending like most kids at the time in the 70s, they spent most of the time with my mother. My mother was the one that got me the courage and you ought to quit. And my mom's like, you're not quitting. And I'm scared, Mom. These guys are so much better than me. Well, you go out there and you say to yourself, I'm not going to be defeated. If it wasn't for those things, I wouldn't be here today.
Nice. And who doesn't beat a good mom? Like I have a great mom. That's why part of why I moved back to Texas is
my mom's wonderful.
Yeah. One of the things I went back to Texas for is to help take care of Mom. And then to have the flexibility to go, because Mom also has a place up in Iowa. So like I'm able to, go back and forth if needed. That's what's nice about the career pivot, is I have a little more flexibility. But no, like it's good. Great moms are great. Like, if you had a great mom and who gave you good speeches and gave you really great life advice, even when the life advice is like, it's like Mom knows what she's talking about. That's the big thing. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Moms are awesome.
Moms are the best. I mean,
moms are the best.
I'm sure there are, but they'll people argue anything. But my mom was the best. My mom still is the best. She's 98, and as soon as we're done here, I'm shooting over there to go visit her.
Cool. All right. Well, you got to tell your mom that I said hello.
But I will definitely do that.
Yeah. But I would say, we're close to 2 hours. I think I do have a question in the chat. So, Matt, have you ever had anybody that refused to bump and give a little offense? That's an interesting question.
Never had anybody refuse. Yeah, I've heard of it happening. I've seen it. Had anybody not bump for me? But I've been very fortunate that anytime, I brought out the knucks and gonna club a guy, I've never had someone say, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm really lucky. That's never happened to me, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. I've seen guys get full of themselves. And so, but it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate too. Like, I mean, I never had anybody like bump for me, but I bumped for plenty of people in the past. One of my favorite stories to tell is like, I tried to be a heel manager. I'm not as good as Matt. I'll tell you that. No, like Damian Blood, like pile drive me twice and he took my shoes. Because the Lubbock crowd,
we've all been through there. We've all been there.
We've all been there. The crowd was like bloodthirsty. They wanted to see me die. Like, so
take his shoes.
Take his shoes. And I remember, and I'll have to have a show with Damien one of these days, is like he gave me the first pile driver and they were like, do it again, do it again, do it again. And he looks over at me and I'm spread eagle. I'm dead. Because I'm like, I'm supposed to just take one. Like, and I think you were at that show because I was like, I'm feeling a little crunchy right now. It was so good. And I was laying there dead, and Damien looks over at me and he's like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, he picks me up again. Just do it. Boom. And then just like, it's just like that. And then the crowd was like, take his shoes. So he took my shoes, and he ended up giving them back to me by the end of the show, which, I mean, it's just a fun story to tell later. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that pile driver was a little crunchy there.
The Good Brothers gave me well, the Good Brothers gave me 6 magic killers at a show here in Salt Lake.
Jeez Louise, 6.
They just kept doing it, and I'm like, I was afraid to even move, that they would beat the crap out of me because I'm crapping on their finisher, but they just kept doing it. So then when we worked with them in Las Vegas, I'm like, what I want to do is I want you guys to get me up for the magic killer. Missy comes out, cuts him off, and says, don't kill him. Then they put her up there in the magic killer. And then I cut that off. They set me down, and then they gave me, and because I wanted to kind of play on that whole thing, and it was like everybody in the arena thought that they were going to give Missy the magic killer, and she broke it, and I broke it up, and then they gave me 2 magic killers. Then they the corner of the ring, then they each kicked me in the nuts, and then they fell down, and they picked me up, and then the other guy, and I'm like, gosh, you guys. And so then I'm like afraid for the fans to see, because I don't want them to shit on their finish, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think kicking in the nuts is a little, like, it might be a little too far, but you know, they probably didn't hurt you. It was probably like just
it's like overkill. I mean, I just took 2 magic killers.
They wanted to make sure you were
but
dead.
It was fun. I was very happy to do it.
Oh yeah, and well, I was too.
It's like I always think, if they didn't love you, if they didn't respect you, and I mean the fans and the talent, they wouldn't have done it.
Exactly. Oh yeah. It wouldn't have not been like, you know, boo, you know, go away. It'd be like pure silence. It'd be like, yeah. So we're fortunate about that. You know, and I would get stage fright something bad. And then now, like, because I've been in journalism and I've had to get over my stammering and my stuttering and just like, you know, just get over like just me being awkward. Then it's like, okay, well, you know, just be yourself out there, and then just ramp it up to like an 11, and then people will love you or hate you. You know, and we love the fans. We wouldn't be there without the fans.
The fans will tell you what they want.
Yep, exactly. And if they want you to die, you're gonna die. Like
the fans will. The one thing in today's professional wrestling that honestly everybody has forgotten. That everybody is that in this new era of memorizing moves instead of working, is that you gotta listen to the crowd, because the crowd will tell you.
Right. And it's those wrestling fans that will tell you, like, it's like, hey, that's boring. Like, you know, boring.
Yeah.
Agreed. I had one more piece of advice before we go, or one more thing to ask. Actually, what kind of advice would you give to a somebody that wants to be a manager someday?
Okay, there are no shortcuts in pro wrestling, and the misconception that people have about managing is that you don't have to go to training to do it. Short term, yes, but long term, you absolutely have to be trained as a professional wrestler and understand the psychology and how to work to be a really good manager. Because if you look at all of the managers through Bob Heenan, Captain Albano, JJ Dillon, all wrestlers before the came. Not to say that someone who isn't a wrestler can't become a manager. What I'm saying is the path to being a good manager, or the path to being from a good manager to a great manager, is being properly trained and understanding the psychology from a wrestler standpoint, and why, not just how to do a headlock, but why a headlock at a certain time. So my advice is go be a manager, but train with the boys when you can.
That's great advice. Because you want to go in like saying, hey, I want to, like, you know, if I need to, I can wrestle, or I can be able to take a bump correctly, or I can be able to take a move correctly. Yeah, so that's exactly on the nose. I completely 100% agree. You know, not just because I like it, but no, the philosophy is, it's rock solid. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm sorry.
They're finishing. Yeah. If they do a finishing move on you, they've got to trust. Oh, I'm sorry. If they, and you, they've got, you, they don't want to look like shit. And if you take it wrong, or you bounce right up and don't sell it properly, they look terrible.
Yep. Agreed. You gotta be thinking about everybody else. Like when you're wrestling, you gotta think about, like, how, you know,
team effort.
Yep. It's a collective effort. And that's why it's wonderful. Because when you have like a locker room that's like in sync and everybody gets along and everybody, like, you know, at least everybody gets along at the very least, then, and people are professional about it. And, you know, fortunately, like, you know, like, Matt and I can attest, you know, the ones that we like to be part of is like the ones where everybody gets along, or at least everybody's professional, and, you know, and understands that, hey, like, we all need to do our part and make this a great show. So.
Yep. 100%. I mean, I always say pro wrestling is a team sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Kind of like, I mean, like a whole bunch of other sports as well. I would even say amateur wrestling is almost like a team sport, because it's an individual effort, but it really, it can either help or hinder your team. So yeah.
Yep.
We're speaking gospel here. But Matt, thank you so much for being on here. I need to bring you back. We need to talk more indoor football and alternate football leagues. And, oh my gosh, it's so fun. And then so this has been Unfiltered, season 2, episode 12. I know. I think one of these days we need to get into talking about Kiss, but that could be another pod for another day. Yeah. Yeah, especially my mom's fandom of Kiss. Episode 12, season 2 of the Unfiltered podcast. Next weekend, I'm going to have Lucas Kinsey, the voice of West Texas A&M. He's going to join me for the 4th of July weekend. And then after that, I have Roger Riley. And then after that, I have Vic Quick from KOTA in Rapid City. So, and then I have, I think I have more people lined up too. I have a fellow co-host. He's coming over from Internet Uncapped. Evan's going to be on. So shout outs to Evan. I had his partner on not too long ago, Mitchell, Mr. Lolcow. And then I have hype up for a rodeo. I got to hype up a rodeo come August.
Sounds wonderful.
Oh man, it feels like I'm playing for the 27 Yankees by all these really cool people that I'm interviewing, or I'm bringing on the show. But
wonderful.
Yeah,
good.
So
wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll talk again about bringing you back too, because oh my gosh, like there's so much more we could talk about. But yeah,
I know.
But Matt, do you have any like parting words for us?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just listen to the Core 4 podcast. It's the Grizzlies centered podcast, but we always have a pro wrestling segment. And then if July 11th, I'm here in Salt Lake with Devotion Championship Wrestling.
Cool.
Then July 18th, I will be in Phoenix with Phoenix Championship Wrestling. And then the following weekend, July 25th, I'm in Amy at the MK Bandit is my Instagram and X, and Matthew Roblez is my name. And please, everybody, be safe out there, and just don't stop watching pro wrestling. Don't stop watching alternative leagues, and let's keep this train going.
Exactly. So, all right, we're going to close up shop. We're going to enjoy the rest of our day. Matt's going to go see his mom. I'm going to go hang out with my mom.
Go visit my mom.
So we're going to both hang out with our moms.
Good.
And
two mama's boys.
Two mama's boys, yeah. Well, hey, y'all have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great start to the week, and we will have another Crash Out Connoisseurs tomorrow. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys soon.